Good afternoon. How's your day been? Welcome back to Gooner Fanzine TV. And with Dan the Man Mountney, we're talking ahead of Arsenal's crucial match at Leicester City on Saturday at the King Power Stadium. There's a lot to talk about. It's been a busy week for Arsenal. But the first thing is Unai Emery. He's under a lot of pressure, isn't he, Dan?
Yeah, he's under serious pressure. I mean, the run of form is terrible at the moment. They've let 4 leads slip in the last 4 games, which is not the kind of form from a team that wants to finish in the top 4. So yeah, massive pressure. Obviously 6 points behind Leicester at the moment. Could be 9 points if they lose on Saturday. With 12 games gone, not great.
Yeah,
a lot of pressure on him at the moment. So yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the targets he was tasked with at the start of the season, and when they appointed him, was to finish in the top 4 for Champions League football. As you say, Arsenal, if they lose on Saturday, they're a long way off it, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, as I say, if they lose, it's 9 points, which is not. It's not unrecoverable, but it's a situation that you really don't want to be in at this point in the season. They've obviously still got tough games to come. Leicester are a team who are really in form and look like they may get in the top 4. You've got people below them like Bournemouth who look in really good form. Yeah. Even Sheffield United, I think are in the place below. You've still got Tottenham and United who are down there who could work their way back up. Chelsea are on the same amount of points as Leicester. There's teams that are in form are doing well, and Arsenal are really struggling at the moment. So a real must-win Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And while every Arsenal fan should want Arsenal to win, because they're the club, and why wouldn't you want them to win, basically? There has been talk of certain Arsenal fans calling for a defeat to hasten the departure of Unai Emery. I mean, what's your take on that? I don't agree with that.
No,
I'm not sure you don't either.
You should never want your team to lose, regardless of the situation. Would you not prefer them to win and Unai Emery to turn things around? Would that not be what you want, rather than, I know things aren't going the way they are at the moment, but when they were on that 22-game unbeaten run last season under Emery, I don't think anyone would have said, oh, let's lose it so he gets sacked. I mean, everyone thought he was doing well at that point.
Yeah.
Peaks and troughs, it's how football works. Sometimes you're doing well, sometimes you're not. It's just the way football is, and at the moment Arsenal and Emery aren't doing well. So hopefully Saturday will be some kind of turning point, but personally I don't see it. But as regards to fans wanting Arsenal to lose a game so he gets sacked, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. We completely agree with that. There has been discussions about who could take over if, and we stress if, Emery were ever to lose his job, whether it be next week, whether it be in 2 years' time, 5 years' time, hopefully as long as possible, if he can turn it around, basically, because everyone wants a successful Arsenal team led by a successful manager. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen at the moment, like you say, but if he were to lose his job, there's been talk of Jose Mourinho coming over to take over at Arsenal. I know he was at one of the games, wasn't he? Apparently, allegedly, he was sat with Raul and a couple of other sort of big wigs behind the scenes, I should say. Mm-hmm. I don't want him as Arsenal manager. I don't want him for a lot of reasons. I don't want Jose Mourinho anywhere near Arsenal Football Club. I could have a proper rant about it. I'm not going to just share. But I want to hear what you're saying. You're the man in the press box. Yeah. You're the man in the pressers. Obviously, you see Emery is under a lot of stress and strain, and deservedly so, to be fair, in terms of the fact that he's put himself under this pressure because his teams haven't been working, basically. But I've seen Mourinho in press conferences, and he is very charismatic, but he's a divisive force, isn't he? Yeah. He's a divisive character, and I just don't want him at Arsenal. I mean, what's your take on Mourinho?
Firstly, you mentioned there about how he's been at games. There's been talk of him and Raul, who are apparently quite close, and as well with Jose Mourinho's agent, Jorge Mendes. Apparently they're all quite close and they run in the same circles. There's been talk that they had kind of dinner together to discuss the job. Arsenal refuted those claims. Apparently it didn't happen. So that's speculation, kind of him being at games talking to Raul is something that Arsenal have kind of distanced themselves from. Yeah. So looks like that hasn't actually happened. That's just kind of rumour. But as to wanting him as manager, I completely agree with you. I mean, he's such a divisive figure, isn't he? I mean, you look at the way things ended at Man United. If Mourinho was in charge and he was in the situation that Emery is in now, where the fans have turned against him, the players don't seem to be kind of understanding what's going on, I think we'd be 10 times worse off Mourinho in the situation we are now, because, I mean, he's not... Yeah. He's just going to make it worse, isn't he, the way he acts and the way he behaves. Yeah. And in regards to kind of him as a manager, I think he's not the manager he once was. Yeah. I mean, we saw him at Man United. He didn't hit the heights that he had with Chelsea, Real Madrid, Inter Milan. Obviously, different time, different era, but he doesn't look the manager he used to be. I mean, you could argue that he won the Europa League, Man United. I think he won the League Cup as well, didn't he? Yeah. So, he's still winning trophies, but he looks like he's lost that special one touch, doesn't he? So.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember him taking over at Chelsea in, was it 2004-05? And he was at the top of his game then. He was a really, really interesting, divisive character, but you couldn't keep your eyes off him. And that was from a fan's point of view, and he obviously did really well for Chelsea in those 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's a 3-season cycle, isn't it? Where none of his clubs that he's taken over have done anything after sort of 2 or 3 years in charge. I know when, like you said, you touched on the fact he was at Inter Milan, that semi-final against Barcelona, I think in 2010, when they were down to 10 men, they got the 0-0 draw, which they needed to get through against a really attacking Barcelona. That was peak Mourinho. He drilled his sides to an inch of their lives, basically. They got through, and that is the Mourinho people think about now. The Mourinho from Inter Milan when he did the treble, and obviously at Chelsea first time round, and even to a certain extent when he went back to Chelsea and won the league again there.
Yeah.
But you're right, he's nowhere near what he was, is he? And I just don't think he'd be a particularly good manager in terms of what he can bring to Arsenal, let alone his character. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think you mentioned there about how he obviously drills his sides well and they defend well and they know they're organised and all they're doing. I think that could be one plus point, but there's plenty of other managers out there who I prefer and who I think could do a better job in terms of doing the same thing of getting the team organised, getting them defending well. It's just, the way he acts is not on for me. I'm not a fan of that. And I also think Arsenal need someone to take charge long term, to look at it and go, we want them here for the next 5, 6, 7, however many years, because the plan on the pitch is to look at it in terms of this is a 5-year plan, for example, hence the buying of the young players to grow them and develop them and maybe move them on for big profit. And we know that Arsenal in the short term are not going to challenge for the top, for the league title, are they?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of fans have to put that into perspective as well. Obviously, things aren't going well for Emery. It looks like he's not even going to make the top 4, so which is obviously the target, and that should be the target for me. So I think as for Mourinho, no thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was liking it to the fact that charismatic managers, I mean, show me age here, but there used to be an advert for Ready Brek, and I don't know if I've said it before, and if you had your Ready Brek, you've got the big glow around you, and charismatic people, not just football managers, have got that glow around them as far as I that's the way I liken it. Obviously, Pep Guardiola he's got it in spades. Jurgen Klopp's got it to a certain extent. Arsene Wenger had it in a way. It was more sort of, you were drawn to him rather than anything he would sort of say in himself, although he was ridiculously intelligent and said a lot of really interesting things. But with Mourinho, he's got that. He's got that real charisma. But he's almost like the bad cop. He's the dark side of the charisma, basically. And when I'd covered the 2-2 at Old Trafford last season, he'd lost his mojo. There was nothing there. He was completely fed up. He knew his time was almost coming to an end. He knew his team wasn't achieving. I think he'd lost interest as well, to be fair, to a certain extent. And that's the Mourinho that I think would come to Arsenal. He might be rejuvenated in terms of having a little rest, being out of the game, but he's got nothing more to give as far as I'm concerned. And if he's got nothing more to give, on top of the fact he's a really divisive character and doesn't know the Arsenal way and has slagged off Arsenal fans in the past and has really, really criticised Wenger personally. Basically, he's trolled him, basically, and he personally abused him, which is completely unacceptable. I don't want Mourinho anywhere near the club, and I'm sure you don't either, really, do you?
Well, you mentioned Arsene Wenger there. In football, I'm not about sentiment. I don't agree with sentiment in football. But I do think hiring Mourinho would be kind of kicking the teeth to Arsene Wenger. Obviously, they had their battles over the years.
Very good point,
There's been some choice things said about from both parties, really. And I think, Arsenal was known as a classy football club. I think Wenger really kind of helped introduce, it was obviously before that, but he helped kind of push that legacy on.
Yeah.
I think if you get Mourinho, it's the opposite.
Absolutely.
He's not. The incident that springs to mind was when he was Real Madrid manager, and they had a Copa del Rey game against Barcelona, and he went and poked Tito Villanova in the eye, didn't he? It's like, it's just not the kind of behaviour that you want to see anywhere, really.
Yeah.
So.
And then he ran away as well, didn't he? It was just so cowardly as well. That's just one of many instances, basically, that the Mourinho hasn't covered himself in glory in any way, shape or form, and he's just doesn't seem to be a very nice character. Whether it's a caricature of what he's like as a person doesn't matter, because that's what comes across, basically. And we just don't want him at Arsenal, do we? Really? No. Excellent. I'm glad we got that sorted, because we're certainly singing from the same hymn sheet on that. If you think differently, let us know. Leave a comment. Let us know why, because I'd be interested to know, because I don't want him at Arsenal. Dan doesn't want him at Arsenal. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans we know don't want him at Arsenal. So it'd be interesting to see if you've got another point to that. Going back to Emery, what does Emery need to do to keep his job? I know, even if they lose, potentially they won't sack him. Who knows, basically. But if he wants to guarantee the fact he'll be there on Monday morning, what does his team and what does Emery need to do?
Do you want my honest answer?
Go on.
I don't know. I don't know. I look at that Arsenal team and I go, well, there's so many things wrong here.
Yeah.
You can only really sort one at a time.
Yeah.
It's like, It's just...
Yeah, let's start off with defence then, because they didn't look solid against Vittoria the other day. I know there'll be changes for Saturday, but it's the ethos, isn't it? They can't play from the back.
No,
Why?
they just can't do it. They don't have the players to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't, I talked about this, I think, in the podcast a few weeks back. If you don't have the players to play the system you want, don't play that system.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's clear to see from everyone that it's not going to work. They switched to the back five yesterday. It just didn't work. Didn't have any difference. I mean, if you have a closer look at the way they defend, it's ridiculous. I think Martin Keown talked about this when he was on BT Sport last night. Is that when you watch them defend the free kicks, you've got your three centre-halves who should be the best people at winning the ball in the air.
Yeah.
And if you watch how they defend, they all stand next to each other. That doesn't make sense to me. You're marking one space with three players who you could put near post, middle, back post. So you've got a player defending each section of threat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's stuff that Emery needs to have a closer look at. I think his issue is he's also looking too much at the opponents as well. I think he did that against Wolves, hence why it's a system, and he got that hopelessly wrong as well. It was completely the wrong system to play. But I think he has too much focus on the other team rather than what Arsenal are doing and what they need to work on and improve.
Yeah.
And then, the midfield as well, there's just absolutely no protection. I mean, Lucas Torreira's come in and he's improved it a little bit, I think. I think he's definitely the best player to play in that deep position. But it's the play, who do you play next to him? Xhaka, I mean, that situation's just rumbling on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Guendouzi's probably been one of Arsenal's best players. I put him in there alongside him.
Yeah.
But then do you play Ceballos? He's really gone off the boil. He obviously picked up a hamstring injury yesterday.
Yeah.
Who else have you got there?
Yeah.
I mean, they're so short of options and decent options at that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got Willock as well. Mesut Ozil, obviously. I'd definitely put Mesut Ozil in the team. But again, it's a case of, do you play him in the away games? Is he going to put the effort in? Is he going to run around? So, it's, the midfield situation is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And in attack, you've got three players in Aubameyang, Lacazette and Pepe who are going to thrive off balls in behind and balls into the box and, having chances created for them. They're not getting any of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just problems back to front, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one you can look at is probably Leno and go, yeah, you're doing all right. But the rest of it is just...
Yeah, but even then
ridiculous.
He's confused because does he play long or does he short?
Exactly, yeah.
So even he's getting mixed messages himself, isn't he? So I think you're absolutely right. Just in terms of the captaincy, I sort of did a piece the other day. I wanted Bella in, but I'm happy with Aubameyang. He's a positive force. He's a bit of a character, but he leads by example on the pitch. What's your take on Aubameyang being captain?
Well, I mean, it's limited options, isn't it? I mean, you've got 5 captains, but you look at any of them and you go, well, you're probably not really the kind of leader I'd want.
Yeah.
You look at the other teams kind of in the Premier League, the leaders they've got, and it's just worlds apart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas you've got Arsenal, you've got 5 players who you probably look at them and go, yeah, you'll do a job as captain, but are you someone like Tony Adams who's going to drag a team forward, someone like Patrick Vieira? It's not, you don't have those players anymore, and I think that's one of the reasons why Arsenal struggled for so many years, is because they don't have a leader.
Yeah.
And they haven't for probably the past decade or so.
Yeah, it certainly feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But, just in terms of Leicester, James Maddison, who played really well last season in the 3-1 victory over Arsenal in late April, that really cost Arsenal in terms of the Champions League places last season. He's been called up to the England side. Yeah. He always seems to play well against Arsenal. What's your take on Leicester?
I mean, Leicester are a class team. We've seen that.
Yeah.
And I think when Wenger went and there was talk of Brendan Rodgers, everyone kind of went, "Oh, I don't want him. He's not." He's not a manager who's managed at the top. Well, obviously he was at Liverpool, but he's not someone who's been to the very top. I think a lot of people laughed at it, but you look at what he's done with Leicester, and I don't think we would have turned our nose up at the way Leicester are playing if Arsenal are playing that kind of football. They've got so many quality players, and obviously you mentioned Maddison, who I'm a massive fan of, and I think is someone that Arsenal should look at maybe in the future.
Yeah.
You've got Ndidi behind him, Wilfred Ndidi. He's a quality player who I think would improve Arsenal if you put him alongside Torreira. I think they'd make a brilliant defensive shield.
Yeah.
You look at the centre-backs as well. Johnny Evans, someone that Arsenal have looked at in the past, and people kind of turn their nose up at, and he's like a fine wine, isn't he? He just seems to get better with age. Yeah. And then you've got the youngster next to him, Suyuncu, another one Arsenal looked at and didn't go after, and he's been a revelation this season. Yeah. And obviously Vardy, another one who Arsenal have been linked with.
Chilwell as well. He's done well, hasn't he?
Chilwell's a quality fullback. But I think Tierney's someone who's probably on his level and is doing well so far. But there's so many players who you'd look at and go, well, they'd improve Arsenal, which, I mean, it's as ridiculous as it sounds because they play for Leicester. It's right. I think you'd agree with me that they're a quality footballing side this season. They've got a lot of talent and players, a lot of young players who are really understanding the system they they want to play in, and they're playing good football, and they're getting results as well, which is kind of everything Arsenal aren't at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've got the mojo back from 2016, having won the league as well. Like you say, they're a really good team, really good squad. They're going to be a real target, a real obstacle for Arsenal on Saturday, basically. I remember the 3-1 at the Emirates last season. It was a Monday night. Ozil excelled. He was man of the match by far. A really good assist. That was the level that Ozil should be playing at. That was the level that Arsenal can play at under Emery against a Leicester side, a good Leicester side. But they're going to be nowhere near that on Saturday, are they, really?
No, I'm worried for them Saturday. I mean, we were both there last season when they went to the King Power, and they were absolutely battered, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles got sent off. But
in the first half.
They still got absolutely destroyed. I mean, Leicester just ran through them at times.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember distinctly one of the goals, like Tielemans scored a header and it just kind of walked into the box and they did it in.
Yeah, you were telling me he played well that day, didn't he?
I'm a massive fan of him as well. He's a quality player. So, another one that Arsenal should look out for. But, I think it'll be another case of heavy beating for Arsenal, I think.
Oh, let's hope not. But, I think you may be right, Dan. And then who knows what's going to happen with Emery's future with 10 to 12 days of the international break where decisions are sometimes made, big decisions are sometimes made if a manager is not getting the side to where they want it to be. Let's hope that's not the case. And let's hope Emery can turn it round. But in the meantime, if Arsenal do not play well on Saturday and show no evidence of any sort of coherent strategy or plan or even playing well, you do fear for Emery's future, don't you, really? So,
I mean, you mentioned there it's going to be the international break, and I think if there is a time to get rid of him, that would be the time, because you've got a week or so to sort it out, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think they've got a kind of ready-made backup in Freddie Ljungberg.
Yeah.
But will he be the right man long term? I don't know. I think he probably needs that spell if he was to take over, if Emery was to go. Obviously, that's a big if.
Yeah.
But I think he does need that short spell to say, look, I can do this.
Yeah. Pep Guardiola did it, didn't he? I know he was at sort of Barcelona B and stuff. It's not so much the age, it's the inexperience. But then if you've got experience as a player, you can translate that to coach. I think Ljungberg would be a good temporary or caretaker coach until potentially someone came in the new year or the January transfer window. He could certainly keep a steady hand on the tiller until then. I'm just not sure if he's got the experience long term to do it, and I don't want to be in a situation where we've got a sort of Ole Gunnar situation at Arsenal. But I think you're right. I mean, I think Ljungberg has got so many qualities. I love him bits. We both interviewed him. He's a really good guy, and he can do really well for Arsenal, and he's got a long term future at Arsenal. But if Ljungberg was going to take over, who would you be interested in as a future Arsenal manager? We're obviously talking hypothetically because obviously Emery, we want him to do well. But what are the options?
Well, there's two for me that I want, and I think for completely opposite reasons. The first one would be Diego Simeone.
Okay, yeah.
Purely for the fact that he drills his teams defensively so well, and we've been crying out for that for years.
Yeah.
Obviously, to put him away from Atletico Madrid would be a massive ask, but I think as Arsenal, you're a big club. You've just got to say, do you know what, we're going to go for this.
Yeah.
We're going to do what it takes. You might have to pay however many millions of compensation. It might take you a bit of time to get it sorted, but I think in terms of wanting a top manager and sorting out the issues that need to be sorted, he's the man. The other one is Erik ten Hag at Ajax. I think he's a top young manager. I mean, we saw what he did with that Ajax team, and the way the football he plays is kind of similar to what Arsene Wenger played in his kind of first decade at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ajax and the Cruyff way is kind of renowned in world football. I think he'd really improve things attacking wise. Defensively, I don't know, but those two are the big options for me. Obviously, for very different reasons, but I think Arsenal need to go for someone who is going to change things. Rather than just continuing what has happened under the latter years of Wenger and now Emery, because nothing has changed in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the last thing fans wanted when Wenger left. Basically, you just want to see a bit of progress, and there hasn't been there. In terms of Ajax, I was really impressed with players like Ziyech last season during that run, and I think the manager can get the best out of younger players. Basically, in terms of Simeone, I covered both games in the against Atletico Madrid a couple of years ago in the Europa League semi-final, and Simeone is a real strong character. He's an excellent manager, and defensively, second to none. Godin's performances in some of those games were just ridiculous.
He's obviously
along with
left
the rest
now,
of the side.
But, I mean, you talk about those semi-final games, especially in the away one. You could even argue in the home one. I just sat there and looked at it at times and went, we're not going to score it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to get through them.
Yeah.
Obviously, having a world-class goalkeeper in Jan Oblak, I know you're a massive fan of, as am I.
Yeah.
I think helps, but then the defensive organisation, you just look at it and you think, well, what are we going to do here?
Yeah, which is ironic because Emery was brought in for supposedly his defensive nous on top of everything else, and it just hasn't worked out like that, and it's really, really frustrating for everyone. Basically, we always hope we always want Arsenal to win every game they play, from the under nines to the first team, basically, and we hope Arsenal are going to win on Saturday. We're just discussing the options if they don't, because Emery has not managed as well as people thought he would 18 months ago, basically, and he's shown no evidence of being able to turn that round, has he, in any way, shape or form, which is really, really disappointing. We'll put you on the spot here. What's your prediction for Saturday?
3-0 Leicester.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry, I just the way Arsenal play and the way Leicester are playing, especially Arsenal being away from home, I just don't see anything else happening, to be honest. They don't. I mean, you look at last night, they didn't look like they were going to score. It's at the 80 minutes to have a shot on target, which is just mind-boggling, and didn't defend well against a side, no disrespect to Victoria, who are not a top side. Leicester are showing they're a top side at the moment. They're in good form, confidence is up. I mean, they're going to take Arsenal apart for me, and I'm sad to say, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm really worried about it. Obviously, say like the 3-1 last season at King Power, I think they'll score 2 or 3 again on Saturday. It's just whether Arsenal can do that, and I don't think they can. We're not saying Arsenal need to win to save Emery's job. We're not saying if Arsenal lose, Emery will be sacked. But you want to see progress. You want to see a good performance from Arsenal Football Club on Saturday. You want to see them defending well. You want to see them linking well in terms of attacking. You want to see a coherent strategy from playing out from the back, which is supposedly Emery's ethos, which just hasn't happened over the last 18 months consistently. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't think it will. I think you're absolutely right, and I think Arsenal could be heading towards a really damaging defeat on Saturday. We hope to God it's not right, but and that's not going to happen. But I can't see anything else either, to be fair. So thanks for your time, Dan. Really, really appreciate you watching this. We've had our say now. What do you think? Let us know. Are we on the right track with Emery? What do you think? Do you think he should go? We did a few Twitter pieces during the game in Portugal the other day. Got a massive response. Have a look at my Twitter feed, Layth29. Have a look at Gooner Fanzine Twitter feed too. Dan the Man's Twitter feed too. You can see a lot of really unhappy Arsenal fans. There's a lot of discontent out there. Let us know what you think. Is Emery the right man for the job? So many people don't think he is now. And if so, what's going to happen? Should Mourinho be coming in? I don't think so. Dan doesn't think so. What do you think? If not, who should take over? And if Arsenal do win, where does that leave Emery as well? So let us know what you think. Like, comment, share. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you me and Dan will see you at Filbert Street then. See you at the King Power. You showed me age. I went to Filbert Street a few times over the years. We'll see you at the King Power Stadium on Saturday, and thanks for watching. Cheers.